Tigger and I were doing a day about sensory heaven and sensory hell, and a question came up in a couple of different formats, but it's the same question, and it's come up at all the autism shows, and it's a question I've met in lots of situations before, and it's to do with people who are stressed for sensory reasons or for whatever reasons, hurting themselves or others. And we answered it. Tigger always gives the analogy of a row of dominoes falling, and that moment where somebody's causing harm to themselves or causing harm to somebody else, cutting, biting, is the last domino in the line. And whilst people jump when that last domino falls and say, how do we stop this? Actually, you don't want to stop that last, you do want to stop that last domino falling, but just stopping that last domino falling isn't really helping that person. What you want is to stop the first domino from falling, and then that's a nicer experience for them. And so when you have that moment where somebody is hurt or is hurting somebody, focusing on that they're biting or that they're cutting isn't necessarily helpful in figuring out how to stop the dominoes from falling. But Tigger and I are both people who speak from personal experience on that one. You know, my body carries scars that I've put there. And there was a moment today when I was talking to somebody and I was saying, like, it gets better, it gets easier. In no way is my life as stressful now as it was when I was 15. And they said, I'm worried that if I stop them from doing this, they'll just swap to doing something else harmful. And I had this kind of moment where you have to decide, do you say, no, it just gets better? And you look across at Tigger, and I know that he does things that hurt him. And then you look at yourself and you think, I can't really sit here and say that I don't do things that harm me in order to cope with life. But I wonder how many people could. Like, there are just socially acceptable ways of harming yourself, and is what I've done just switch to socially acceptable ways of harming myself? And if we really were interested in those dominoes falling, maybe we all, regardless of neurotype, if you're doing things that cause you harm, maybe we need to work more on what stops the earlier dominoes. Because I said to Tigger, maybe in 10 years' time we'll be good examples, but right now we're kind of middling. Like, it gets better, it's not as bad, but we haven't got it sussed.